Hi there, Coach Paula here. I want to welcome you to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about being a relationship Einstein. But before we do that, I hope you will, just out of courtesy, hit the thumbs up and the red alert bell so you don't miss any of these videos, and then the subscribe button. But certainly the thumbs up, because it helps others who wouldn't see my videos to discover them and see them, and that helps me keep this channel going, because I am a dating and relationship coach, a licensed social worker, and author of the book Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. And I am all about that happening for you, a man deciding to make you the one. And all of my videos support my work here, support my book. There's a link in the description to the book and a link to the podcast, Make Him Wonder. There are 80 episodes there in season 1, and you can get that on all listening platforms. But coming up in season 2, here dropping on Thanksgiving Day 2021, is the 80/20 Wonder Club. And in the club, you will get all the 80 episodes of season 1 in a categorized list by age and relationship status. So 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And you can listen there to the podcast episodes that are the most beneficial to you. It's what I'm all about. This is a place where you can go this year to really hone in on what you need to do to make your relationships go the distance, because it is all about you. And that relates to this topic today. We all know Einstein, and one of the most brilliant men who have ever lived, a genius who really brought us so many things in the world that before we had never had, and he will live in perpetuity for his concepts. One of them, a famous saying of his, which is just for all of us, we don't have to be mathematicians or to understand his E equals MC squared or any of that to understand this, which is, he said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, we can parlay that to anything in our lives, correct? But in the relationship realm, we tend to do this. And we do it because of our feelings. And where are they coming from? Well, we can actually change our feelings and change our behaviors. And it's a cycle, because when we change our feelings, we change the behaviors, but also when we change the behaviors, we change the feelings. And my work centers around that vis-a-vis men in our lives, because when we do the right things with men according to what they need and how they generally feel, we get the right results. But what happens to us, because our subconscious is programmed, and it is programmed from a very, very early age, actually from birth to age 7. In that time frame in our lives, we tend to live only in our subconscious, meaning our computer up here, our brain, and our subconscious really is being filled at every moment of every day with the precepts, the ideas, and the subconscious programming of the people around us. Typically our primary caregivers, of course, but other people around us as well. And what happens is, by the time we're 7 and starting to live in our conscious mind, which is where thought is and memory and all of that, when we start living there, we actually start seeing the world in a way of, well, let me take my subconscious precepts that are already there and see the world in a way that will solidify, justify, and confirm those perceptions. So this is, you see how tricky this is. So we need to, most of the time, because there's always going to be some kind of negative programming. People are people, and we don't want to impugn our primary caregivers for that, because generally they did what they knew, what they felt was best for you at the time. But it's going to be very very important and incumbent upon you to live your best life to actually go in and change that subconscious programming. Because otherwise, we live in our own insanity by continuing to do the same things and wanting different results. There's a very interesting concept of we want things, but yet our subconscious continually makes us do the behaviors of things that will not get those results. Now, consciously, we think they may, and this generally happens for us with men. Well, it didn't work with that man. My behaviors didn't work with that man, but just the right man will come along and accept those behaviors. Well, that can happen. I'm not saying that it can't, but the better way, the most efficient way, and for us to get the fastest results is to actually change our behaviors to what work with men, but also, and the most profound part about this, is we change the behaviors because then we change how we feel about ourselves. And when we change how we feel about ourselves, we change the behaviors. And it is a cycle. And it's not a vicious cycle, it's a great cycle. And it's usually undulating back and forth and back and forth. But we want to get to a place whereby we have the complete self-confidence, the inner knowing, the subconscious programming that will allow us to be free of the negative stuff that is manifesting the behaviors that we are putting out to the world and putting out to the men. And it's generally why we have, quote unquote, failed in our relationships. Now, all failure is growth because it's all information. But only when we take the information of the failure and then say, okay, how can I use this? And so generally when I work with women, I am working in programs that we're working one-to-one in a way that helps you to reprogram and reset things. This could be with an ex, it can be with someone new, so that your behaviors relate to him what you need to feel. You see how it's a very interesting back and forth. Because what generally happens is we want to feel differently because we relate as women out of our feelings. So if we feel different, we will relate differently. Well, that's true, but if we wait to feel different, we can be waiting a very, very long time. And if we're not reprogramming our subconscious to what gives us that confidence, that inner knowing, all of that, we don't get to the different feelings. So I utilize this and I recommend you doing an investigation of people who call themselves manifesting coaches because this is where you will help yourself reprogram your subconscious mind. And it comes from old teaching. It goes back to the Bible even. Very, very interesting stuff. I like Joseph Rodrigues, Joseph Alai, A-L-I, Sylviane Nuccio. She's going to be on my podcast in season 2, as a matter of fact. I like this work a lot, especially as it relates to getting back together with an ex, and also just starting in a way of changing yourself first, which helps you behave in a way, and then that's where I come in, behaving in a way that is going to work best with men. So it's a two-pronged approach that when it comes together, it really is magic. I use this in my GPS program, my groom positioning system. I utilize it in my One Love dating program, Online to Never Ending Love. It is a continual practice for all of us, no matter what. We really need to start in a foundational way, see where we are, see what we need to do this work that those folks do, and there's so many others. But I recommend that you find people like Joseph Rodrigues, Joseph Alai, Sylviane Nuccio, who talk about the work they have done themselves. And they know how to do it, and then they impart it to you as well. Then the second part of that is, if you are in need of changing things around with the man or men in your life, then we need to connect. Connect with me so that I can help you see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Many women work with counselors. They can be exceedingly helpful, but I recommend that you really think about, is this simply a tweak and a behavioral thing, or do I have very, very serious issues that need therapy? Counselors can be exceedingly helpful, but there's so much out there today that you can do on your own with just a short-term coaching program, for example. And just this past week, got another engagement with someone who worked with me for just 2 times of a 12-week program. And she just met him when we started from online. So we went from online to an engagement in less than a year. As a matter of fact, in this calendar year, and I only work with a handful of women, in this calendar year, that has happened 3 times. So I really recommend that if you want that result, that you start to do this work and think of things in a different way. In other words, if you have continually tried this on your own and it's not working, well, that's doing the same thing and expecting different results. So take it from Einstein. Do things differently, and you will get different results. I want to help you do that. Connect with me. All the information is down below, and I will see you next time. I trust you got a lot of good information from today's video, and I enjoy bringing you content that is valuable for success in your romantic life. So don't forget to subscribe and hit the alert bell so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. And if you want more on any of the content you see here, you can go to my book, Why Won't He Commit? How a Man Decides to Make You the One. You can order it at any fine retailer where you get your books. And if you want more on me or any of my programs, my podcast, go to CoachPaulagrooms.com, and we could be talking soon.